Hi, I'm David Allen. I teach at Santiago High School in Garden Grove, California, just a few miles down the road from Disneyland. And one thing I wanted to really share today is about some advice to somebody who's coming into the teaching profession. Is, I think most of us want to teach because we love the content. We fell in love with something. But the most successful teachers I know, and the teacher that I wanted to become, was not somebody who just loved their content, but they loved students. And that what drove their success was looking at, how can I teach this whole student and know who they are, and reach them in different ways that's beyond just the content itself. And so success as a teacher is going to come from not just that love of the content, but the love of the student. And I think that manifests itself in a lot of ways, especially if you're thinking, I love these students and I want them to be the best they can. It means all students. We use a phrase, all means all the time. And so how do you do that? It's, for me, it's the basic thing that I think most teachers, learn often is like stand at the door and greet everyone as they come in. But to be intentional with it and make sure you're making eye contact and you're saying their name and you're asking them a question or giving them a compliment like, hey, nice haircut. Maybe you missed it for 2 weeks, but you noticed at some point. And those little things allow you to kind of start to build that rapport with students, and they know you care. And so if somebody who's disengaged and you reach out to them because you realize like, hey, something's not right here, they know because you've already been talking with them and building that relationship that you do care and you want something more from them. Also, I feel students who often are not engaged when it comes to like something that's a reading or the writing side, but we give opportunities for them just to share what they know and be able to just speak it out loud, that you often find some really incredible knowledge that they may just not feel comfortable sharing, when it comes into like the written, form. And using opportunities, whether it's Socratic seminars or philosophical chairs, where you can provide some structure to allow their intelligence to come through and then to praise them afterwards. It's one of those stepping stones where students can then maybe feel for the first time that I can do this and I am smart, because we all are. They just need sometimes somebody to believe in them. And as I was told by a great teacher who I worked with, that, he's like, believe in the students until they believe in themselves. And which sometimes you just got to keep believing in them for years and years until after they've even left us. But if you believe in all your students, you can't reach all of them, but you're going to reach a lot of them. And you're going to make that impact that you probably have always wanted to make on a student's life. It's amazing sometimes when you have a colleague will say, well, why they're getting an A in your class, or getting your B in your class, and they're failing my class. Well, what are you doing? Is it some secret? It's like, well, from day one, I've been trying to get to know them. And I see the classroom as, I never was told any rule that said I can't have fun in the classroom, and that I can't have relationships with students in the classroom and know who they are as individuals. And I see that as a priority above content. And I think if anything that the pandemic taught all of us who are teaching at home, and we may have known it beforehand, but I think a lot of us growing up in the educational system, it was content first when we were students. And then maybe you learn some skills, and if there's time, the teacher will care about you. But what we realized, it was completely, what we always knew is that if you don't have relationship first, they will never trust you to reach out and try something difficult, which is that skill building that they need. And if you can get relationship and you can get skills, and you've been worried about content because you got benchmarks or you have these tests and the district wants this, guarantee you the content will be there because they trust you, they're building the skills to be able to learn it on their own, and the content will come. But if you just try to cram content and, well, maybe we'll learn how to like speak like an historian or write like a scientist, and we'll get to that stuff later, and maybe I'll get to know you here and there throughout the end of the year, they're never going to take risk. And so if we don't start our foundation in the classroom and school-wide that it's about relationship, the skills that we need students to have to be able to access that content, and I would say well beyond when they leave us as well, it just really isn't going to happen except for a handful of students. It's like I could Google any historical answer that I needed. A student can Google anything. So I already knew that wasn't a part of that was a small token of what teaching should be, but it was even more manifest. Like, facts are irrelevant. And I forget who was speaking. I was talking with one in 2019 math teacher from Sacramento, and he's like, there's a, your phone can do complex math equations where now it's you just need to know which is the best one to use at the right time. And I was like, wow, that makes, it was the same sort of, within history, like what I love about the fact that I don't have to teach facts anymore. I mean, they got to know content, but it's application, it's thinking, it's how do we write about this? How do we ask questions that are important to me, to history? I always say, like, why is there a new book about Abraham Lincoln every single year? It's because we all have different questions. And I said, my questions as a 43-year-old white male are going to be a lot different than yours. But your questions are super important, and that's what we're going to be doing for most of the school year. So like we're going to be asking questions and learn how to ask these questions.
And then it becomes relevant to them because it's their inquisition of the inquiry of well, there's something I don't know, I want to know it.
And then I want to know it, yeah. My drive for the past few years, the word agency just kind of started to smack me around about 5 or 6 years ago, and it just stuck as like that's the calling now, is how do you develop agency? And as I see it, it's you got to have skill and you got to have will. And I can help with the skill, and the will part is also like providing opportunity for student to be able to apply those skills that they have.
Well, it comes with the ability to make the material relevant to them.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. That's the other thing I hear. 99% of the interviews I do with kids is that the teacher has this ability to make what he or she is teaching important. I know why I need to know this.
Yeah. But you can't get there if you don't know your students. Yeah. It's like, do I love soccer? Absolutely. Would I talk about it as much as I do if I wasn't teaching, a school with 80% Hispanic population? Probably not. And if I was in another environment where it was something else was important, well, guess what would become important to me? And it's, and I was joking, I was really glad USA won last night because I'd made a bet with one of my AVID tutors, and she's gonna have to wear a USA jersey. I was gonna have to wear a Mexico jersey. And then after we made the bet, she goes, well, the only size I have is a medium. I was like, well, you definitely don't want me to lose this bet because nobody in here wants me wearing a medium jersey all day long.